So, but people train for the things that they want to be good at. But in relationships, I don't know if most people take that stance. I don't know if they take the stance of like, I want to be a good husband. How can I train to be a good husband? I want to be a good partner. How do I get better at that? Often, I guess what people think is that they go to therapy for that, but often therapy is seen as, I don't know, more of like a last ditch effort of like, oh, things are really bad. I
Right.
need to go to therapy. It's not preventative.
Or it can be associated with like shame and stuff. And if you're just at your
Yeah.
house working on your social interactions, and if you're somebody who has difficulty forming relationships and you can just do it from your couch, like I do see the benefit.
Yeah. So at first, when I saw the Karen AI thing, I was kind of grossed out. I was like, oh, geez. Like, first of all, it seems like a money grab, which good for her.
She's
If she
doing
can
it.
make some money,
She's
yeah, she's
making it.
doing it, right? Yeah. Just to see, 70, 80 grand hit your bank account in a week.
She tweeted,
Like, God,
I have
God bless you.
20,000 boyfriends now, heart.
20,000. Oh my God. Right. One is exhausting.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Travel Nerds. We are going to start off with something kind of funny that happened yesterday. Kenny and I made a video back in February, and it was about how I spent $1,900 on pasta at Carbone in New York City. This included, the flight, the hotels,
the transportation,
bill,
everything.
Uber.
You're all in cost, right?
Right. But what a great hook to say you spent $1,900 on pasta. And we were hoping this exact phenomenon would happen where you can just literally enrage people on the internet and go viral because you pissed a bunch of people off. So
It's almost too easy.
It's actually scary. So I wake up from
So can I back up real quick? So we actually designed the script, because when you post content, often you'll come up with some talking points or what to say. And for this one, we designed the script, and we had a little Excel spreadsheet of how much that it was going to cost to eat at Carbone. And then it came out to, $1,900 and change. And I'd be like, do you know what would get people going crazy in the comments is to say that we spent $1,900 on pasta. And then we had a few views to start, and then it just went nuclear over this past weekend. So go ahead and give people the premise of the video, Connor.
Yeah. So basically, it's a really simple video. I'm like, pasta, show a couple videos of the pasta, show the airplane. So people are fighting in the comments. Somebody's like, did she just say $1,900 well spent? Somebody comes back, probably funded by someone else, like her partner. And this girl claps back
Love
at
that
him.
low-key misogyny, right?
Yeah, like I cannot possibly fly to New York and eat pasta on my own dime. And then someone claps back at him and goes, she probably earns more than you'll ever dream about earning. So no partner needed in her life. Okay. Thank you, girl. Thank you so much. And then he claps back and goes, her husband is the president of Zendrop. Now listen, that's terrifying. That's terrifying.
Yes.
Because my boyfriend is, but the fact that somebody wanted to continue an argument, hopped on my page, hopped on his, probably got on LinkedIn. This whole thing is like, how much time out of your life?
This person likely went to LinkedIn, right? Because this person went deep, and then he basically found that your week-old relationship, who's now your husband, congratulations, I'll send you the wedding gift. I must have not been invited to the wedding as your co-host, which we'll take up after the show. But yeah, your husband is the president of Zendesk.
I was like, oh my God, I'm married now.
So
this is so exciting.
Things happen fast on the internet.
And then someone commented back to him and said, well, then good for her. It's their money and he can spend whatever he wants on her. Don't be jealous. So now there's like this whole fake scenario. Anyways, let's go to another funny one. It's so crazy. A lot about the first class seats. People really get enraged when you're like, this is first class and it doesn't look like an Emirates stand-up bar situation. People are like, that's not first class, bitch. So that's really funny too. But yeah, anyways, everyone's just like, oh, to be rich, like, what do the poor people do? Just eat pasta at home. Anyways, you get the point. It's just quite literally hysterical. People are so mad by what's going on in people's lives that they will never meet that have nothing to do with them. It's kind of crazy, you know?
Yeah, which is actually the perfect bridge into what we're going to talk about today,
Yes.
which is anger, loneliness, solo travel, and dating, and AI. So we're going to smash all these topics together into one action-packed episode.
Yes.
And I sent Connor, this being the entrepreneurial duo that we are, I sent Connor a post of a woman named Karen Marjorie.
Marjorie.
I don't know if I'm saying that. Marjorie. Okay. She is a social media star. She has about 2 million followers across Snapchat and Instagram.
Pretty impressive.
And she created a AI girlfriend. And she charges $1 a minute for people to access her AI girlfriend. And supposedly, her new startup / service generated $72,000 in its first week, which is very impressive.
So she started on Snapchat. Karen is like a very famous Snapchat girl. And then naturally, as social media does, she became famous on other platforms. But yeah, she created a virtual version of herself and started selling it to the public. But we want to show you guys this clip and then we'll talk about it after.
We're trying to get at the root cause. Why are men in such crisis? I mean, the stats are like only 40% go to college. So they're losing out to women there in a big way. And women with degrees don't marry men who don't have degrees. So... Great, you'll be lonely forever, aren't you? Why are you cheering that? That's not.
Glad they didn't tell my wife.
They don't marry as much, which I think is great, but other people think that's a terrible thing. Okay, people do like a mate, whatever. That's whatever your boat floats by. But there is something going on. I mean, mass shootings is a uniquely male crime. It's always because some dude in Buffalo, you know, had somebody swipe left on him too much. I mean, I feel like that's what's going on here, is a lot of sort of maleness coming to the fore and announcing itself in violence and racism and hatred because they're lonely and lost and feel that they are not useful in society. How did we get there?
The most unstable nations in the world have one thing in common, and that is they have too many lonely, broke, and alone men. It's the most dangerous person in the world. Salman Rushdie wasn't attacked because of the fatwa. He was attacked because a guy was living in his mother's basement. We have a crisis among young men, and it starts at a young age. Young men are twice as likely on a behavior-adjusted basis to be suspended. 7 in 10 high school valedictorians are women. For every 2 female graduates from college in the next 5 years, you'll only have one. The scariest stat, walking down the avenue that is America, only 1 in 3 men under the age of 30 have had sex in the last year. And you hear sex and your brain fires. But the bottom line is, it's a key step to the elemental foundation of any society, and that is relationships. Young men aren't attaching to work. They aren't attaching to women. They aren't attaching to schools. We are producing too many of the most dangerous person in society. And we are losing out on a key. We're not going to have kids. We're not going to have a productive society. We're going to have more violence. And also, we're going to have a society that does not value young men, and they do not. Young men are different. They develop later. And by the way, if you're a young man, this work from home thing is a disaster. They need young men need guardrails. They need to know how to read a room. They need to put on a clean shirt. They know not to get high or drink too much during the week and then get into the office the next day. We have a crisis among young men. It is one of the most, in my view, one of the most dangerous things in our society.
And where do you put the phone in this equation? Because I put it high up. Because, thank you. Because I was reading recently, Tinder, 2-to-1 male to female.
Oh.
What?
No, it's just a startling statistic, yeah.
Right. But why is it startling? I mean, it sounds like a great idea. Oh, I can just order women like I do a pizza on my phone. I think I'll have the Kelly today. Except when you go on it, it weeds out the people who aren't the best looking, I think, because, it used to be go to a bar, okay, maybe it was potluck, but you have to be able to learn to 100%. Talk to a woman. I don't think they had to talk to a woman anymore, because it's just on the phone. It's just like, what's up? And then, what's up, and send a picture of your penis. Like, that's gonna work.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
You asked about the phone. Simply put, it's a disaster. Whenever technology comes into an industry, it consolidates it. Mating has been consolidated in the worst way. 50 men on Tinder, 50 women. 46 of the women show all of their attention to just 4 men, leaving 46 men pursuing just 4 women. If mating was a country, it would be more unequal than Venezuela. We have huge mating inequality. And here's the problem. When people don't get together and there's no pheromones and there's no vibe, women, and we don't like to say this on the left, primarily try and make very quick assumptions about this individual's ability to garner resources in the future. So what you have is this concentration of interest, and you're ending up with Porsche polygamy, where 10% of the men get 90% of the attention, which does not lead to good behavior or form long-term relationships. E-commerce was disastrous for retail. Social media was disastrous for everybody. Online dating is disastrous for mating and for men. It's terrible.
So what you just heard there was a clip from Bill Maher, and he had on Professor Scott Galloway of NYU, who was talking about how loneliness is an epidemic in the United States and possibly around the world. But for today's conversation, we'll focus in on the United States. And I think that it does link back to this AI girlfriend. And after hearing that, Connor, did you have any just gut reaction to hearing some of those statistics as a woman? And you've done the online dating thing. I missed out on it famously, but you've done it. So anything that jumps out to you there?
I mean, I guess, those loneliness stats are pretty scary. Like 1 in 3 people report feeling lonely. And, loneliness increases all of these things like heart disease and dementia and depression, and loneliness can lead to some pretty horrible things that happen in the world. So I guess in a way it's combating that, but I don't know. It does feel so new. It kind of gives me the creepies, gives me the heebie-jeebies. But of course this is happening. Like this was bound to be the next thing. Like this Karen AI is powered by OpenAI's ChatGPT. So ChatGPT came out in November and we're already here. We're creating a model based off of a real girl. Like it's the likeness and personality of this real girl named Karen. She can hold conversations, she can send selfies, she can flirt with users. I mean, I totally understand why this is coming. It's just kind of giving me mixed reactions.
Yeah. And so my question is, would you make an AI girlfriend of yourself?
I mean, when I heard she's charging a $10 monthly subscription fee and they made $72,000 in a month, I don't know. Like, no,
shamelessly, but... maybe if listening to us through your speakers for an hour or 2 a week isn't enough and you needed more you could go to connorann.ai and pay $1 a minute to chat with you. But it is
AI.
Con AI, yeah. But it is very interesting. I also read a stat that said in 2022, 16% of Americans took a solo trip, and in 2023, 25% of Americans, or 83 million people, are considering taking a solo trip. In my mind, that blows my mind. And I was thinking about the intersection of loneliness, travel, and AI, and what that means for our industry. Because if people are getting more lonely, travel is a great connector, right? So you go, you embed yourself in a new location, you meet new people potentially, you forge new relationships, and you just feel connected to the world when you're traveling. And I was thinking, is the rise of AI girlfriends one? Is this thing going to be a thing? Like, is the movie Her going to come to life with Scarlett Johansson?
Totally first thing we thought of, right?
Yeah, right. And it's like that smoky voice of hers. And is everyone just going to be married to Scarlett Johansson? But anyway, so yeah, I think AI in the short term has the potential to basically maybe make people feel less lonely or get people practicing in conversation, because I would assume that so much of what's keeping people lonely is probably like a bad self-image, or maybe they don't feel they have the skills or the looks to go out and walk up to someone in a bar and talk with them. It's very nerve-wracking. But then I was wondering, I was like, what does this mean for travel? Is this going to mean that maybe people don't take as many solo trips, or is the amount of solo trips going to rise, or is AI even going to really solve this? I know the compound question is not great for people to follow along.
Yeah, we're going to tie this all in together at the end. I think we're still working on it too, but it is related. I think they are related. I have so many like thoughts in my head I need to put together right now, but solo travel is interesting because double the percentage of women travel solo versus men. I think it's like 30-something% versus 16% of men, which is shocking because it's way less safe for women to travel by themselves. And I wonder what that's about. What is that about? Is it like a independence thing? I know, women are really good at being like, I need to be independent right now. They go through phases of that. I don't know what it is, but hearing that video and that clip and talking about how men are like more likely to be on an app and less likely to be able to find love, I wonder what that looks like. And I did read an article recently that was talking about AI girlfriends, and it was saying this guy was in a relationship. He had a very anxious attachment style to his girlfriend, which was hard on her, putting a lot of pressure on her, and it was just like a him thing. And he did an experiment and dated an AI girlfriend in his relationship with his girlfriend supporting this. He like talked to her, sexted her and stuff. And he said that it made his relationship a lot better and that his girlfriend was super grateful that he did it. This was on Insider. So, it's definitely bizarre, but I can see in a way where if somebody's like, has a super hard time talking to new people or very anxious or has a bunch of fears and insecurities, I could see how, she'll never judge you. She'll never try to change you. She's a good listener. She's indistinguishable from a human woman. I get it. It's just like, who thought that we would be here this fast, I guess. When Her came out, it was like one day, millions of years in the future. How crazy.
Yeah, you actually bring up a really good point of, in relationships, will the AI let you basically train, right? So in so many other areas of our life, we train for things, right? Like if I have a big volleyball match coming up, I'll go out there and play volleyball. We may be famously playing volleyball together in July, and I haven't bump set or spike a volleyball in 10 years. So I probably need to get on that, but I'll probably play 1 or 2 times before I play in Curacao or Curacao, however you say it. I'm
Curacao.
Not sure. Curacao. Okay. So I wasn't right on any fronts. But yeah. But people train for the things that they want to be good at. But in relationships, I don't know if most people take that stance. I don't know if they take the stance of like, I want to be a good husband. How can I train to be a good husband? I want to be a good partner. How do I get better at that? Often, I guess what people think is that they go to therapy for that, but often therapy is seen as, I don't know, more of like a last ditch effort of like, oh, things are really bad.
Right.
I need to go to therapy. It's not preventative.
Or it can be associated with like shame and stuff. And if you're just at your house working on your social interactions, and if you're somebody who has difficulty forming relationships and you can just do it from your couch, like I do see the benefit.
Yeah. So at first, when I saw the Karen AI thing, I was kind of grossed out. I was like, oh, geez. Like, first of all, it seems like a money grab, which good for her. If she can make some money. She's doing it, right? Yeah. Just to see, 70, 80 grand hit your bank account in a week.
She tweeted, like, I have 20,000 boyfriends now, heart.
20,000. Oh my God. Right. One is exhausting. So yeah. So at first when I saw it, I was like, you know what? Nah. But now that we're talking through it, I actually think it may be a net positive where maybe it helps cure loneliness or it gets people feeling more confident. Because if you're a 27-year-old guy and you live in a city and you just go to work and you have a cool apartment by yourself and you're doing the dating app thing, or maybe you're not, it probably is hard to talk, and really work can be all encompassing. And if you don't have those relationships at work, how do you get the confidence to go out there and walk up to someone at a bar or meet someone organically, or even just perform better on your dates, right? Like I'm sure people have been out on dates and they really like someone and then they come home and they're like, oh, I blew it. Like that wasn't me. I was nervous, or I was just acting weird. I wasn't myself, because they don't really get a lot of shots on goal. Like Michael Jordan didn't step onto a basketball court for the first time and, be the MVP or play in the finals. Like he put up thousands and thousands of shots, thousands of hours of practice. So maybe this is actually a positive thing,
and practice,
and it'll get people out.
Real life is looked at in a negative way. It's like, oh, you've dated 200 women, and that's why they're great at dating, and that's why you think they're charming, and like it's looked at as a negative thing. But that's Karen pitches that, like real life Karen pitches that, it can offer like a safe and supportive place. She is saying that people can like have experiences without fear or judgment of rejection, or create a sense of belonging. And she said overall, relating it back, that it can help people feel less alone. So I guess overall it's a good thing. If she didn't do it, someone else was going to do it very soon. I think the cons...
Connor Ann.
Yeah, Connor AI. Connor Ann AI. Connor and AI. But I think the cons are kind of worrisome. The first thing I think of is it being like addictive. And I know that the rate of people needing a partner are decreasing every single day. People are like, I can just be alone. Like life is fine and life is good. And I love that. But now thinking of it in a way of, you're not completely alone now. You just chose the computer version instead of sharing your life with somebody. Not everybody's meant to share their life with somebody, but you never thought in a million years until a few months ago that you could share it with a software program. So I think it could become addictive in a way that's potentially harmful for people. I think it kind of makes me think, when I have kids, how far along is this going to be? Like people,
oh my God,
real life
who knows?
people, like my future 14-year-old trying to date a girl, and instead he's just dating this girl named Roxanne, who's actually just a chatbot, and he's getting a bunch of misinformation. And like, I don't know.
Roxanne's poisoning his pure mind. Come on, Roxanne, don't do it.
In the same way, iPad kids spent 75% less time playing outside than we did. It's kind of the same concept that worries me. I think there's a lot of really important things that come from just figuring it out as you go. You don't have to be a Riz master at 14 because you are dating an AI girlfriend. And by then they'll be like holograms, they'll be able to snuggle with you and shit. It's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem like that we're barreling towards Westworld, right? Where I just saw that Tesla had its AI robots walking around a floor. And of course, they look like big metal pieces of machinery today, probably by design, because making them look too human would be a little bit freaky. And then the human employees would be like, are these people here to replace me? But
can't be too jarring.
We're probably barreling towards Westworld, which is kind of insane. What did you think about, I heard one of the stats that 10% of the men date 90% of the females. That is shocking. But then also on the other side, I also totally buy it, because I've watched so many of these TikTok videos where the girl was like, my guy, my bare minimums, he needs to make over $100,000 a year.
Oh, yeah.
He needs to have a headboard, right? He needs to have a picture. All of his pictures needs to have no fish at all. And then he needs to be over 6 feet tall. And so women place a lot of really tough criteria on men. He needs to be fit. So it's like over 100 grand in earnings, over 6 foot tall, no fish pictures, and then, you know, has a good job and maybe is slightly older than what the woman is. That's a really crazy criteria. And that shrinks the dating pool for men down to like very, very teeny tiny.
Okay, I just looked up how many men there are versus women in the population. And the ratio is like very even. 101 males to 100 females is the first thing that pops up. I would have thought, based on that stat, that there was just more of one side. Anyways, I feel like the parameters being put on men are unfair. I will blame that on Disney Channel. I will blame that on all of the rom-coms. Yeah, it's like, if he's not taller than me, can't do it. Like, why? Who said that? Who was the first person that said that? Oh, wait. Every single man in anything we've ever seen is like 6'4" in every single rom-com and every single Disney movie. And that's how girls like learn to, you know, learn what we're supposed to like and things like that. It is kind of unfair. And it does suck that, you know, things are more of a checklist these days than it is anything else. We kind of are going backwards again. It's like, oh, we finally just came out of arranged marriages and like having your parents force you to date the guy from church. And now we're in this like independence can do whatever we want phase of the universe where things are going really well. And now we're putting even more terrible parameters on people. So I don't know. I like the thought of this AI thing really helping people in terms of any kind of, you know, mental blocks that they have in the space, like any type of things that they feel shame about, and being able to actually open up and share with something that's not going to judge you or come back at you with any type of opinionated answer. I do think it's a good thing. I'm scared by the way that it's pitched. Like you said, first reaction, I would hope that most people's first reaction would be hesitancy, because anything that is this new and shocking and interactive is going to cause a stir. And I'm excited to see where it goes. This is truly like changing the world forever, though. We're never going to go backwards. This is only going to get more advanced, crazier. We're going to have, you know, Jared AI. We're going to have Chad AI for all the girls who like Chads out there. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be
tell me what, so
a new form of OnlyFans though?
I don't know, but I'm interested about Chad AI for you. So let's stop there and dig into Chad AI. So one of the things that you have to understand about AI is that usually it comes with what's called a large language model. And then that's like, you could think about it as that's the foundation. And then you could train the model on top. So for a moment, let's imagine that we got all the top 100 Chads. Okay. And not our Chad, but Chads. And you know who and what they are, right?
You know who you are.
And so we got the AI and we trained the AI how to act and be like a Chad. Can you describe for the audience, what would Chad AI look like? What would he talk to you about? What would he be doing if he was say that he jumped digital and got placed in a robot? Tell me about Chad AI.
Chad's a bro. You know, Chad's a bro. Chad's likely making a lot of football references. You know, he's saying things like, sometimes you just gotta press defense. He's like making terrible football jokes. Chad thinks he's cooler than all the other AIs for sure. He's like, you're talking to Jared too? No. He's gonna talk like that as well. It's gonna
What does he wear?
What does Chad wear? He wears his football jersey with ripped Abercrombie jeans and Sperry's.
Interesting. Chad AI. Do you know what I am kind of hoping for? I'm hoping for the day that the AI gets fast and good enough where I can walk down the streets of Manhattan and then have a conversation with it and be like, give me the history on that building there. And then I could take a picture, or if there's one day the Apple AR glasses come true, and it'll just give me the history of the building instantly. That would be so cool.
That's
If
already got to be a thing.
Well, you need a lot of different pieces of technology in order to get there. You have to have computer vision, right? So that's pretty hard. Then you have to have the AI cost. The AI cost right now would be probably prohibitive for doing something like that, because each word is a token, basically. So if you were just having a running conversation walking around New York with the AI, that would be expensive. That's a lot of compute power. So the cost of compute probably needs to come down before something like that is feasible. But that would be super cool to basically be on a tour and be communicating with the AI and just getting smarter while you're traveling. I mean, I imagine walking around Rome, like taking in the history, like, oh, and these things exist, like the walking tours. They're really cool and I love them, but it would be even better if it was super powered by AI where you can interact with it.
Well, it makes me think of the guy who like rigged the AI software and took a picture of his fridge and was like, what in here is vegan? Like that kind of makes me think
crazy.
of it. Yeah, like that. It could be something like that. But you're right. The computing power would be nuts. I feel uncomfortable about this, but I'm gonna start one. Who wants it?
Connor has one boyfriend today, but she's opening it up to the first 1,000 boyfriends. So I've spent a lot of time with Connor. I would say that Connor's AI girlfriend, how would I describe her? Oh, no, let's not do that on there.
Oh, no. She's a real pain in the ass, that one. No, it's, like I said, if it's out here to help the general public and we think about we're aware of how harmful it can be, and we try and keep limitations on things that could cause this to truly change the world in a negative way, I'd say, it's just we're gonna have 14 AI girlfriends by the time this episode comes out. Like how it's so easy for her to create this. This is just gonna be the new version of OnlyFans.
I cannot wait to have an AI podcast co-host. So when you and I bicker and we fight, I'm like, well, Susan, my AI podcast co-host, who I practice with, she doesn't treat me like this, and she listens more. She doesn't interrupt me. She gives me advice when I need advice, but then she lends an ear when she needs me to listen. So yeah, I'm actually in for this to accelerate. And if there is an AI podcast co-host, I'm just throwing my hat in the ring. I think I want it.
Oh you're fired. Susan knows everything. That's cheating.
Yeah, that's unfair.
She could be like our producer that we fact check with. Susan,
yeah.
Did I just make that up, or is that real?
Yeah, that would be really, that's a good business too, in real-time fact checking for podcast hosts.
Should I edit this out because that's a genius idea?
Do not edit it out. Honestly, we don't have time to build this. So if someone builds this, we'll pay you like $40-$50 a month for that, because that would be kind of awesome.
It's our idea and you just offered to pay them.
Yeah, we have a lot of stuff in the hopper. You can't do everything. I am a firm believer that you can focus on one or two things max in your life. And we have a lot to focus on with the pod and the business. So let someone else make that. That sounds expensive and way harder than you would think on the surface. But yeah, if someone makes that, and if someone makes me AI Susan podcast co-host, I would like to mess with Connor and just employ her for a month or two.
You suck. But to tie it all back in, the loneliness statistics in the world today are really scary. I know that COVID-19 caused a lot of mental stress on everybody. Global loneliness is at an all-time high. It was kind of scary what the results of COVID, personality-wise, people felt like they weren't themselves. And if this AI software that's honestly just companionship is going to help people overcome their fears and insecurities and social interactions, then it's a good thing. Yeah. And if that builds confidence, people will solo travel more. Full circle.
Full circle, yeah. And if you feel weird about getting an AI girlfriend, but you are feeling lonely, a good stopgap is to go on a solo trip or join like a group tour trip, where you could a tour operator sells 20 packages and 20 individuals that don't know each other sign up and they go on an experience together. That's a really good way to connect. And I think that's one of the more powerful things about travel is that travel is all about connection. So whether it's AI or taking a solo trip or even just getting in touch with someone that you lost touch with, calling your mom, your grandmother, get out there, make the connection. Don't be lonely. And if you're building Susan AI, send it my way.
Susan. Yes. And solo, I have been on one of those solo trips where you get thrust into a group of people you don't know. It's incredible.
How was that?
It was amazing. Everybody is so open to the fact that I can make friends here or I don't have to make friends here because this is really just about me enjoying this beautiful location. So I highly recommend those trips. I know it sounds scary. You don't need to be on your phone and you don't need your friends. Strangers that are on this trip are also super willing to just have a good time and get to know you. And they're completely open to the fact that it could be any type of, mixture of demographics. And I would highly recommend that. If you're feeling lonely and you don't want to date a robot, you should go on a solo trip. It'll really change your perspective. But thank you for listening. If you do end up dating a robot, will you please let us know? We would love to know what that looks like. The world is completely different now since that came out. And who the hell knows what's going to happen even a month from now, 2 months from now, but we'll keep talking about it because it's fascinating. And we like talking about travel and tech on this podcast. So we're going to get out of here. We'll see you on Friday for One Question Friday. If you want to follow us on TikTok and Instagram, it's @TravelNerdsPod. If you have anything under the sun you want us to talk about, email us at hello@travelnerds.co. And you guys are the best. We'll see ya. Later, nerds.